Well, good afternoon, good evening for some of you who are listening and watching this evening. Our CAF Informs. Once more, we want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time and spend the evening with us. And also for those of you who for the first time are joining, I want to make sure that you share this video, that you go to our YouTube channel and just go and see what we have there for you. CAF, Center for Assistance to Families, an organization, nonprofit organization that is here to serve. So whatever you need, whatever your concerns, whatever questions you have, please go to our website, www.mycap.org. CAF Inform is specifically designed to inform each and every one of you with the different resources and the different issues that are happening in the community. So we want to inform you, we want to educate you, and we want to make sure that you're still connected. Today we have a special guest who's going to be talking to us about some issues that are happening. They're going to be talking about some of the work, amazing work they're doing in the community. They are in the state of Massachusetts. It's the Massachusetts Family Institute. And today we have a guest speaker who will speak to us about what they do, what are some of the issues that they're working very, very hard for each and every one of us. And also they are going to talk to you about the different resources and how you can be connected. Remember, if you need more information about CAF, about who we are, the services that we provide, we invite you to go to our website, www.mycap.org. So let me welcome my guest speaker, which is Michael King. Michael King, he is the director of the Community Alliances for the Massachusetts Family Institute, which is a local associate of Focus on the Family. And today we are very honored and blessed to have him to talk about what the mission of this organization is, how you can help, how you can be engaged, involved, and take action on the issues that they're working on. Welcome, Michael, to this program, CAF Informs.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be with you today.
Excellent. I would love to hear more about the Massachusetts Family Institute. We learned from you through an email that we got and some information that we were able to receive and get educated about some of the services that you provide and the wonderful work that you're doing in the state of Massachusetts. But I would love to, for the audience that are listening now and that follow us every week, to know about who you are. Tell us a little bit more about the organization, your mission, and what are the services and resources that you provide.
Yeah, so thank you. So Massachusetts Family Institute is the local associate of Focus on the Family. Our mission is to strengthen and protect the family, the sanctity of life, and religious liberty. Partner with churches all across Massachusetts, and we've had a lot of success over the past 2 or 3 years, even in Massachusetts, regarding these issues of life, of religious liberty, especially in these times of COVID, dealing with guidelines for churches and what you can, what you cannot do, what is a violation of religious liberty, what guidelines pertain to churches, what guidelines don't. Just trying to help churches navigate and protect those religious liberties in this unique time. But we've been extremely, busy on this shared mission of ours, again, to protect the family, the sanctity of life, and religious liberty.
Excellent. And what are some of the, I know that you guys been working in the community in the state of Massachusetts now for a while. And we would like to know what are some of the issues that are currently working on, and you just mentioned about the religious liberty and some of this amazing work. CAF work with a large amount of faith-based organizations for the last 14 years. And when we heard about your organization and the work that you do, we were pretty much very interested to see how how our network of organizations, faith-based organizations that work in collaboration with CAF can actually be educated by the services you provide. So tell us a little bit more about some of those services that goes not just for the institution itself, but by the stakeholders themselves, and what are some of the issues that you're currently working on?
Yeah, so let me tell you some stories, that will be a good example of what we've been up to. So recently we had a victory for religious liberty in the city of New Bedford, where the local authorities were through a mandate. They were limiting churches to 100 people or less. So as many of you know, churches are 50% capacity. There was this low mandate that said, no, not 50% capacity, it's 100 people or less. And so, local laws like that cannot supersede the state guidelines. And so we had partnered with a large church there in New Bedford, and then we've also been working with about 20 or 30 Hispanic churches down in New Bedford as well. And within probably 2 weeks of us getting involved, we also partnered with a national organization called First Liberty, which is a wonderful organization that pro bono helps churches protect their religious liberty, and also individuals protect your religious liberty. Within 2 weeks after sending this letter to the local authorities there in New Bedford, they rescinded the mandate in New Bedford and understood that it's the state guidelines that churches are following, and not this local mandate that really is unconstitutional in Massachusetts. And the same thing happened in Dedham. There was a church there in Dedham that was being forced to have 10 or less people. There was a situation in Somerville, again, where it was 10 or less people. We partnered with Brazilian churches in Somerville. Again, we won there. And we'll have some more news about another victory in Fitchburg, where, again, the local authorities are trying to supersede state guidelines. So, if you are part of a church that is being mandated by some local authority when it comes to these guidelines, please do let us know. I know that some new guidelines just yesterday or the day before for churches, which actually lowers, I think, the capacity to 40%, which is what it was when churches first reopened in phase 1 back in May. So churches are at 40% capacity, and there were some other guidelines in there about limiting size to outdoor events that do not pertain to churches. There was also stuff about curfews that does not pertain to churches. So you can see how these things can be confusing, can be ambiguous. And so we really want to bring clarity to these guidelines as they come out, and make sure that churches are treated fairly. Because if anybody should, if anybody's freedoms are protected, for sure it's the church, because you have the First Amendment, freedom of religion, they're right there in the Constitution. So we want to make sure that those are protected.
Excellent. And I know you mentioned that this opportunity for the churches to partner with your organization. What are the ways they can partner with you?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, our two main parts of our mission are religious liberty and the sanctity of life. So, regarding the sanctity of life, many of your listeners may realize that if they've been following us at all, that our state legislators, they recently approved an amendment that we're referring to as the amendment in Massachusetts, that would make it legal for a baby to be aborted all the way through birth. And these are based on some very ambiguous guidelines, such as the mental health of the mother and the quote unquote best judgment, the abortionist. So, this is something that we're very concerned about, that we are increasing late abortion, or at least allowing for more late-term abortion in Massachusetts. They want to lower the age of where you would need parental consent to 16. So currently it's at 18. They want to lower that to 16. We're concerned about those 16-year-old girls, especially that are being trafficked, for example. And now the law is saying mom and dad don't need to be a part of that conversation. Let's take the adults out of the room. And now that girl is left, in a crisis, with just the sex trafficker, that really is not being held accountable. So many things about new amendment that we're concerned about, and there's still time to defeat it. It's been passed in the House and the Senate, but we need people to reach out to the governor and have him veto this abortion amendment. And then we also call their representative, and we want them to tell them to support a line item veto from the governor. So a very practical way for people to get involved. You can text the word, if you want it in English, you can text the word save life, all one word, save life, to 797979. That's our short code. So again, save life to 797979. Or if you want it in Spanish, you can text the word salva vida, all one word, salva vida, to 797979. So definitely partner with us to protect life, and partner with us to protect religious liberty in Massachusetts.
Excellent. And is there once people go into the text messaging and they put 797979 save life, will that get the not just the churches, but anyone who would like to be involved access to more information about your organizations and how they can keep updated on the different issues that you guys are working on?
It will. That'll automatically sign you up for our text alert. So anytime you get a text from 797979, that's us trying to communicate with you on many different subjects. If you're concerned about, I know we talked the other day about the mandated flu vaccine for students in Massachusetts. If you're concerned about that, and you have a religious exemption, that still works in Massachusetts for students. So if you're a parent concerned about this issue, you can text the word parent to our short code 797979. If you want Spanish, you can text the word padre to 797979. So that's parent or padre. And you'll get a link, as well as other information, to a religious exemption form that you can use for your child. A lot of people object to what's in the vaccine. There's been questions about that. Many people have different reasons why they do things. I will tell you, there is an effort in Massachusetts to take away your religious exemption and to also take away your medical Massachusetts regarding vaccines. So you'll want to continue to partner with us, stay in touch with what we're doing, get our e-alert, get our text alert, because we need to have a united voice. There's over 8,000 churches in Massachusetts. I actually think, I was telling you yesterday, I think there's more than 8,000 churches in Massachusetts, and that might surprise a lot of listeners that there's that many churches in Massachusetts. But we were talking the other day about, in the city of Lawrence, that there's over 100 Hispanic churches just in Lawrence, and in Worcester there's 70 Hispanic churches just on Main Street in Worcester. So those numbers certainly add up, and I can tell you from speaking at churches across the state that there is a very large church network in Massachusetts that you'd never know about. You had the privilege, like I have, to go and speak at these churches. But it's encouraging, and we are making more of a coalition every day. I mean, what we're doing today, of course, making more of a coalition. An encouraging story out of Lawrence. Lawrence was the first city in Massachusetts to ban recreational marijuana, right? So not talking about medical marijuana, but talking about recreational marijuana back in 2017. And that was because of the local, and it was all Hispanic. I mean, Lawrence is 90% Hispanic. And so 200 people from Hispanic churches showed up at the city hall, and they got their city hall unanimously to ban any kind of commercial marijuana shop in their city. So, when we work together, again, there's what, I want to say there's 90,000 people that live in Lawrence. So, 200 showed up at the city hall. So 200 is not a big number when you consider all the people in Lawrence. But, it's those kinds of groups that can really make change. Just another quick example in Worcester. We partnered with about 100 people from local Hispanic churches and others. And we were able to defeat Planned Parenthood, who wanted to come into Worcester with their explicit, many times pornographic sex education for kids. And so we were able to defeat Planned Parenthood in Worcester when it came to the sex education that they wanted to provide in that city. And Worcester is no small city. That's the second largest city, not just in Massachusetts, but in all of New England. So again, is 100 people a lot of people in a city of hundreds of thousands? No. And so, be encouraged that we can bring great change for the sanctity of life and for religious liberty, and to protect the minds of our children in our schools. And if you're concerned about the sex education thing in our schools, which again is very much has to do with the sanctity of life, because we're talking about the abortion issue, we're talking about quote unquote unwanted pregnancies. Text the word education or the word educación, so education or educación, to 797979. You will find very helpful information on if you have questions about, like, what are they teaching my kids in the public schools. You and I talked the other day about in preschool they're teaching something called the gender unicorn, which is teaching 4-year-olds that your gender comes from your brain. So your gender is what you think you are, as opposed to how you anatomically present. So this is being portrayed as medically accurate, as biologically medically accurate, but all of us know that your gender isn't what you think you are. Your gender is what your body tells you you are, in the sense of your anatomy. But they're telling 4-year-olds that you are what you think you are. I don't think this is medically accurate. We don't think it's age appropriate. And if you agree with that, continue to partner with us. Text the word education or educación to our short code 797979.
Well, this is really good information that you have shared with all of us and the listeners. And I think there's a difference between just knowing something and taking actions about something. And the society and the life that we live in today, we must get engaged. We must take action. I have 4 kids, 4 children, and I have a 5-year-old. And trust me, I would not have the system telling my children, especially my 5-year-old, how they should behave or who should they decide to be. So we're dealing with a lot of issues here that, especially for the Latino community, which we help a lot in, in Lawrence itself, we got over 60 of the churches that are part of the 100-something churches that are in Lawrence, Massachusetts. They belong in our network. That's where we were founded in the city of Lawrence. And we have grown to go into many other cities like Lynn, Springfield, Worcester, Lowell, a lot of cities where there's a high presence of the Latino community, and we must educate. So I'm so happy and so glad that your organization has been working so hard in so many issues and is educating families and people into what their rights are and how they can be involved. Because unfortunately, one of the things that I really get upset about is the fact that sometimes we know things and we do nothing about
Mm.
it. And so if we don't do nothing about it, we actually, what's the word? We actually agreeing with what is not supposed to be happening.
Mm.
So we heard three different ways, three different areas that you guys working on. Is you can get through 797979 and word the and type the word well, parents, which was one of them, and it said padre, so you can get a lot of information about what's happening in that area. Also 797979 save life, the same salva vida, and also finally is same number 797979 education or educación. We are going to be putting this information down below, so it's easy for each and every one of you to just reach out and get informed. If we don't do nothing, then, as I said, don't complain when we see things happening, because then we either part of the solution, or you either part of the ones that are encouraging this kind of laws and behavior in our country. So I will be glad and happy to see many of you. Yesterday we had the opportunity to share with some of the pastors, and it's amazing how many of them automatically took action. So one more question. When people get the text, they get involved, what is it gonna happen? Do they have to make a phone call to their senators, to the governor, to the local city councils? What is it gonna happen?
Yeah, so when they receive, they sign up with us, many times we'll put out specific numbers and people to call. So we try to make it as easy as possible for you to engage. And we say, look, if you're registered to vote, if you're not registered to vote, matter. If you're a resident, in that city, people in that city that we're trying to work in, get involved. You live in that city, you're participating. And so, don't let that limit you. But definitely, as you said, take action and be encouraged that, the Bible story about Gideon's army, right? That the Lord had continued to whittle down, and he said, you know what, I only want the people that are committed, right? And that ended up being a number of about 300 soldiers, and they were ultimately, as you know, successful. And we see that all the time, little Gideon's armies all over the state, that are winning, and even pushing back against big organizations like Planned Parenthood and others, that really want to teach things to our kids, like you said, that we don't agree with. And so, in the interest of your children, in the interest of religious liberty, in the interest of the unborn, please partner with us to protect life and liberty in Massachusetts.
Excellent. So you guys heard that, and I just want to share really quick. Some of the pastors that reach out to us once they got the message, they said, "Is it gonna be difficult? Are we gonna have to engage into a conversation with somebody once we make a phone call?" I have to report that they got back to me and they said it was really easy. And so they
Good.
didn't have to engage in a conversation. All they had to do was to leave their information, and it was in the language that they were able to understand. So I'm very grateful. I'm glad um, for the work you guys are doing again, and for making it so easy, because then there's no excuse.
Mhm.
If somebody say, well, the language is not an issue, you can get engaged in
Mhm.
Spanish if it is, and then you don't have to worry if you say, I don't know how to talk to people on the phone. Guess what? It's that easy. You don't have to be getting engaged a into a complicated conversation. You just
Mhm.
leave your information and make sure that they can support what are the issues you've been advocating for.
Mm.
So again, I want to say thank you. I don't know if you want to say some final words on behalf of the Massachusetts Family Institute and to all the audience that are listening to us today.
Yeah, I would just say be encouraged. Even though we live in a state where told that it's so, quote unquote liberal, and these values that we hold to, seem archaic to some, that we are in Massachusetts when we're together. You talk about the city of Lynn. We are working with several Hispanic churches in Lynn on many of these issues. You talk about Worcester, you talk about Springfield, Lawrence, all of these cities. We have tremendous coalitions of churches, large churches many times, and many times smaller churches that are all working together. And I could, if we had another half hour, I could tell you story about how we are coming together and really making a difference. So, most of all, the most pressing issue right now, like I said at the beginning, is this abortion issue, this abortion amendment. So I really encourage anyone listening tonight, text the word Save Life or Salva Vida, Save Life or Salva Vida to 797979 and get that information, and then make that, as you mentioned, that simple phone call. Just say no to abortion, no to the abortion amendment. Maybe that's all you say, whatever it is. Or if you want to get more into it, we've provided talking points there for you. But please, for the sake of the unborn and the sake of the born, get involved. It's a very important issue.
Excellent. Thank you so much again, Michael Keane from the Massachusetts Family Institute. We are very grateful to have you, and I know we're going to have you many other different platforms for you to speak to our network of churches and also families who will be very interested in learning more about the work that you do. We are getting ready for our 14 years anniversary. So, and I would love to share some of these. Even if you can come up and speak in the conference, we'll be happy to give you a few minutes. It's going to be this coming Saturday. It's a virtual conference. We're expecting over 200 faith-based leaders to be on it here. And we want to make sure that if you guys have not registered for this leadership conference, please go to our website, www.mycaf.org, and participate. It's going to be our 14-year anniversary, and we are so happy and glad that we're going to be celebrating with each and every one of you. Also, we're going to have our first time home buying seminars, which is going to be the 11th and the 12th. We're going to start Friday, 5 o'clock. If you want to become a homeowner, get the down payment assistance program and everything that is there for you. We're going to start Friday evening, 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and then continue to go on Saturday from 9 to 12. So go to our website, register, and be part of that. Again, thank you, Michael. Thank you for this information, and we are looking forward to continue to collaborating and working with you in the future.
Thank you so much. So good to be with you.
Likewise, thank you.